and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora. With me again is the paradigm of poltergeists, Chip Stetson.
Hey, how you doing, Greg? Everybody's got to be sick by now. You keep having me come on.
Yeah, well, no, we have fun. I love your stories. People seem to love it when you come on. So,
good. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy telling all the stories that I've learned from the places I've gone. I still really haven't seen anything myself that really makes me say, wow. I mean, I've seen a couple of things, but it's dark. I didn't have night vision or anything like that. It's really hard to say what's real and what isn't. But from what everybody that I'm with, the stories they tell me, it's absolutely incredible. Some of the things that have happened to them. And today we were talking. I wanted to do something a little more local.
Local for you.
For me, local for me, right? Not no. I live in the Dayton, Ohio area, and we have the United States Air Force Museum here, which is an amazing place. It's about 5 or 6 different buildings filled with historical aircraft, and you can go there 365 days a year, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. They take donations, but it is amazing the amount and the wealth of history that they have on display in this one place. A lot of historical aircraft. For instance, we've got the presidential plane that took JFK's body from Dallas back to DC. We've got Boxcar, which is a famous plane that dropped a bomb over Nagasaki, one of 2 nuclear weapons that were dropped during the war. The other one, of course, is the Enola Gay in DC, dropped it over Hiroshima. Another movie that was done was the Memphis Belle, and they've got the original Memphis Belle on display there. In the Dayton area as well, but not at the museum. They've got the third airplane that the Wright brothers built on display at a place called Carillon Park. But they do have other era aircraft that they built. It's just a lot of history, a lot of aircraft from war, which means it's carrying a lot of death with it. You've got a lot of aircraft that have seen some of the most horrific things within each World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, all of the wars. They've got so many different stories behind them. There's even one piece of art, an artifact from history where there was an aircraft that crash landed on a deserted island, and the pilots started to make a diary, a log on one of the pieces of metal that survived the air crash. And you could see how things progressively got worse until they all died. And they kept, logging onto this one piece of metal, scratching it in, telling their story. So when people found out what happened to them, there'd be a piece of them to, carry on. Just a lot of different things. Google says it's one of the most haunted places in Ohio, if not America. If you do a search for haunted places in Ohio, it's always going to be in your top 10, your top 5. Now, while doing research, while they're saying that it's also the most haunted place in Ohio or in the Midwest, there weren't any specific stories that people came out and said. I mean, I don't know if they're seeing apparitions, if they see soldiers, if they hear things, but I know for a fact when we were younger, actually worked there. And from what I understand, you actually have seen and know some of these stories that the internet hasn't, told. So what kind of experiences did you have while you were there?
Well, first, the cool thing about the Air Force Museum, like you said, it's free. It's actually way bigger than the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Like by far. And it's at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And if you do your research on
I know where you're going with
ufology,
it's
there's a
Hangar 13.
Or Hangar 18.
Or 18, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Hangar 18.
I was thinking Warehouse 13.
Warehouse 13, Hangar 18. But this is where they originally said to have brought the stuff from Roswell to Dayton, Ohio, and Washington, D.C. Or not Washington, in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And then it eventually made its way to Area 51.
I think it went from Roswell to Kelly, then up to Wright-Pat, which I think was just right field at the time. It might have been Wright-Patterson, but I know it is now, but I think it might have just been right field.
Right field. I think it was right field. Yeah.
Yeah.
at the time. But yeah, but it's there, and I worked there at the Air Force Museum. My dad was a doctor, an optometrist for Wright Pat, and he actually I only found this out after he passed away was during the space race. He worked on some top secret stuff where he was putting certain kind of contact lens. I don't know exactly what, but into the chimpanzees, and they were sending them out, and somehow these contact lenses were recording data to
Wow.
because they're finding out the pressure of, and I don't know how it worked or anything, but that's what he did in the 60s.
Wow.
And and I never knew this until recent. But let's get back to the Air Force Museum because I
Yes.
can't really talk to my dad about it now. It's like, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, great to find out after you passed away. But so anyway, at the Air Force Museum, I do know some of the story. When I worked there, I would befriend the SPs. That's I guess that's what they were called there. It's kind of like the MPs, but it's the Air Force's version. And
Right.
for some reason they were called SPs, and I don't know what that meant, but
Well, even I think security uh,
it might be, yeah,
personnel, because it's not necessarily on base since
yeah,
civilians
yeah,
can go visit. So
yeah.
I think
So
it's
they,
just low.
yeah, so they, but it was the actual guards that did the base, and they would rotate through and work at the Air Force Museum, and they would actually have to stay there at night, um, overnight, and they would tell me like this one guy was telling me how he would not patrol the uh the place and at night. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, he proceeded to tell me the story. He was like his first night there, and it's his first time. He's like, well, should we go on patrol? And the other guy's like, no, no, we don't need to. And he's like, dude, come on, let's go. He goes, no, I don't patrol this place at night. And he's like, oh, come on, were you scared? And he goes, you go patrol if you want. I'm staying here. So the guy went out on patrol, and one of the things, it's the box car. Um,
Mhm.
when you come in, yeah, like you come in and you don't see the box car right when you walk in the hangar that it's in, but there's
Right.
these huge fluorescent lights, or at the time, I don't know if they've changed, but there's ginormous lights in the ceiling. And at the time, they're like fluorescent. They're probably LED now or whatever, but they're huge,
Right.
and they're like 30 feet long, and they're heavy. They're big things. And the story was, and he said he'd seen it, was that these light, just the one over the boxcar, would swing like a pendulum, and it was just a steady swing, not erratic. It was just
Right.
steady swing. And so he went back there, he saw it, but he's like looking around. Well, maybe there's an AC thing blowing it, but none of the other lights are moving. It was just that one. And he was just
Huh.
like, okay. And there's also like a story that supposedly there's an apparition that you can sometimes see underneath the boxcar of a little
Oh.
boy. Uh, I don't know that he never said that, but I've heard that story.
Okay.
And I never saw that, but that's like a story, who knows. But
Right.
that could just be added to it for some reason because people like to add and exaggerate. And then I saw a little boy, but I don't know. Maybe there is. So he went around, and at the time, the Memphis Belle wasn't there, but
Right.
excuse me. Uh, another bomber was there. It's the Strawberry Bitch,
Right.
and I believe it's still there. And
It's still on display, but they have it in a different building now.
okay,
And you're right. They used to be right next to each other.
yeah, they
And
used to be, yeah, yeah.
right,
The way you
but
walked
they
around,
ended
you
up,
would say, yeah.
yeah, they've moved it, and I think it's about two hangars away from where the boxcar is now.
Okay. Well, he was patrolling then, and then he's just looking around, and all of a sudden he hears like this noise. It's like click, click, then click, 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 and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And he just turns his around, and the machine gun from the Strawberry Bitch is pointed right at him, and it's clicking as though someone's
Oh,
pulling the trigger. And he just like he said his eyes got wide. He was like, what the, he was out.
Somebody doesn't want me here.
Yeah, so he left. He never went back in. And he said, now I'm the guy that when the new guys come in and like, hey, should we go patrol? I'm like, no, you go. And he goes, every person that's patrolled it has had something weird happen. And I was like, that is, and the thing is, I worked daytimes there. So like I didn't get that opportunity. And then one evening, they're gonna have this big event, and they had congressmen coming in and big deal people like generals, and it was like a big catered dinner, and they're inside the museum, and there was an IMAX theater. They're going to watch a movie and all this stuff. And I was working there. I volunteered to do the event because you got paid way more, and
Right.
you got tips and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. I never get tips working in the museum, but I got them that night. So we're cleaning up, and the SP guy comes up to me and he goes, hey, do you want to go see if the light is swinging? And I'm like, oh yeah, let's see it. I go, I'd never seen it. I wanted to see it. So I was like, let's do it. And so we go and we come around the corner, and I look up, and I was like, holy crap. It looked like someone had just pushed it, and it was like just doing this. And it did it. We sat there for a good 5-6 minutes, and it
didn't slow
never
down.
slowed down. It just kept going.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, and then he's like, hey, do you want to go back to the Strawberry Bitch? I'm like, no, I don't want to.
I don't want to get shot.
I go, this is good enough. I believe it. I go that. I mean, and the thing is, if you looked up there at the time, that there was no air conditioning ducts by it. I mean, there were big ones in there, but they were like more centralized. And like I said, none of the others were moving. It was just that one. And there's one that's like probably 15 feet away from it, and it wasn't moving at all. And this was a steady, and it wasn't like just like this. It was like a pendulum. Yeah, it was a pretty long swing.
And with the shadows that must have cast out, it was swing back and forth. I bet that really
it'd be
throw some figures out there that might have been there, that might not have been there, Yeah,
and so like I said, that could be why people suddenly, if they're back there and that's happening, then they see a shadowy thing and like, oh, the little boy, maybe that's what they're seeing.
Right.
But I did find it interesting that I think, was it Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunter? One of the
I think it was yeah, I don't think it was Ghost Adventurers. I think, what was the other one with the
Ghost
the Roto-Rooter guys? Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Hunters, yeah.
They went to a house that's over in area B. It used to be an old
general's
captain or general's house.
Yeah.
And they said that is one of the most haunted places on the base. And from what they were showing, there was a lot of stuff that was going on while they were there. But I mean, I've heard that story before they even showed up. I was just amazed that Wright Patterson let them on base and record and search the house and do all that, because it is on base. Wright Pat is pretty important. And I mean, they didn't show anything on the base, but you have to have your filler shots and stuff like that. And I mean, I was impressed that they were able to get out there and investigate that house. But it's right off of one of the golf courses, I think. There's like one of the holes and houses lying either way. It's probably about 4 or 5 blocks from the runway.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I mean, I know exactly where it's at. I'm just trying to picture where it was in relation to the runway, because they have so many different things there. And by the way, there is no hangar 18 that anybody admits to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm not sure how that came up, but everybody that I know that works there, even when I've been on base, when our parents were working out there, I mean, nothing. It still gives to a little bit of mystery to the place, because even though nobody says it's there, it's probably there someplace.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Maybe they just changed the name.
Like, I mean, that's all you have to do. Oh no, we don't got a hangar 18, but here's 19.
They do have a building 18 as well, but
yes,
and you're not allowed in it.
No, there's quite a few places that you probably go through.
If I worked there, I'd probably be allowed in it, but
see,
being that I was just at the time a punk kid.
Well, in fact, over by the Air Force Museum, they have a gym over in that area, over by where they used to do the soapbox derby races, and they installed this new building there. And I think you have to go through like 3 different security checks before you can actually get into that building. No idea what it is. It's right next to the Air Force Museum, so it's kind of near. But if you're gonna hide something, where's the best place to hide it? Right out in the open. So, you got thousands and thousands of people going to this museum every, day, week, whatever. Something could be right under their noses and we don't even know it.
Exactly.
It's a real fun place to visit, though. If anybody makes their way to Dayton, Ohio, make sure that you visit the right, not the right, but the United States Air Force Museum. It's definitely
it's a must,
worth the visit. And like I said, it's free.
Yeah,
so
and
you're not out anything.
I'm surprised that they don't do like a ghost tour of it. Like,
I'm really surprised about that too. I'm gonna have to find out who's in charge there right now and see if we can set something up. I mean, that'd be a great way to make money too.
Yeah,
you just do ghost tours, just have people out there.
Do the nightly ghost tour of it, and whatever.
Yeah, even if you just did it on weekends. But it seems like during the week, that's when a lot more of the ghost tours have the most activity. Weekends, I don't know. Maybe ghosts have something going on.
Well, it's their weekend. They're taking the weekend off. Okay, leave me alone. So, but it is a cool place. Like, I loved it. I loved working there. It was so much fun, and it was a good place to work. And
I was just glad it was as close to where it was to the neighborhood, and we could just hang out there whenever we wanted to. That place was amazing.
Oh yeah,
still is.
Yeah, I need to get back there.
Yes, you gotta see. You probably haven't seen it since they've done all the add-ons and renovations.
No, I haven't.
And like I said, you gotta stop by and see the Memphis Belle. It's really incredible.
Yeah, one of the cool. This has nothing to do with ghosts or anything, but I remember when I was working there during the summer, and I think it was the air show was going on, and it was right after they admitted that there was a stealth fighter and all that, and it showed up at the air show, and the guys did a flyby of the Air Force Museum. And
nice.
they were going, and it looked like it was barely moving. It was just going, and as soon as they got right over the Air Force Museum, they like went, whoo, and it like just took off, and we were just like, ah. It was like
I was on at a golf scramble with my dad and other people, which was a lot of fun because they set up a keg every other hole, so golf was secondary, but a few of the holes that we were playing on ran parallel to the runway, and I guess one of the F-117As had just stopped by for a refuel as it was going west, and we could see it gliding off the runway. And I can understand why people that spotted it in the sky thought it was UFO, because no matter what angle you're at, it had a different design to it. But I mean, watching it take off, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, it's shaped like nothing else that we've got, and it just, you couldn't hear anything until after it was already in the air. It was just absolutely beautiful. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, it looked like when it came towards it looked like it's just like gliding and barely. And then as soon as he hit the things, and it's just like, and you could like feel it, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So like, I remember, like, that was one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
That and seeing the swinging light, but that's good.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to like see if they'll let us in, and we can just like hunt ghosts, the two of us.
That would be a lot of fun, because I don't think a lot of people tried it. I mean, nobody's really thought about it. I don't know if anybody's even attempted.
Yeah, we should ask and see. Hey, we'd like to just spend the night in the Air Force Museum. Would we be allowed?
That would be pretty cool.
I wonder what they'd say. Be like, why? No. Yeah, but cool. But but thank you for bringing this subject up, because it's always been one of my favorite places to go. And when I found out that Google considered it one of the most haunted places in the Midwest and Ohio, I was like, you know what, I got to bring a little bit of attention to it. So, and I knew you would work there, which was fantastic, because you have some great stories right there. Yeah, like I know there's more as well, but those were the ones I remember, and that's my like. And the thing is, if you talk to the guards there, they're the ones who have some of the best stories, because and like I said, none of the guys that that had been there a while ever patrol. It's always the new guys that would go patrol, and then they wouldn't do it again. They do it one time, and it's like, seriously, one time, something would happen, and
One and done. I mean,
yeah,
got to really get into you if you only,
yeah,
one time be like, okay, I'm done. I'm done.
yeah. Like I did, and it's like we don't need to, we don't need to, nobody. There's alarms everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. We don't need to walk
Yeah,
around.
I mean, there's a lot of historical stuff there. I mean, it's got to be
Yeah.
protected. So, I mean, in your head, you're safe, but are
Right.
you really?
Yeah, exactly. But cool. Well, thank you for stopping by and talking about this. And those of you who are listening or watching us or whatever, thank you. We really appreciate it. And remember to go check out Chip's Instagram. He has some cool stuff. And tell him your Instagram. Do you
Yep.
remember it?
Yeah. Chip Stetson. You stop by. There's always little blurbs about different haunted facts, pictures, photos, videos of places that I've gone to. Join the community. Got close to 1,100 people right now. So yeah, come on over. And if you
Yeah.
like me, I'll like you back.
There you go, man. And you can always check mine out as well. I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's G Fedora Crypto or
Yes.
something.
G
And but
underscore Fedora.
yeah, man, I'll put it in. I'll put both links in here, and you can go check us out. But remember, as always, stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files. Check out fedoracrt.com today.